Good morning, everyone. This is Jessica Gregg here to commentate today, along with
Tamara Oudnarden, and to start off the day, we have the ladies 1,500 meters.
So in the first pair, we have Isabel Weidman on the inner lane and Josie Spence on the outer lane. This should be an interesting race. Very exciting.
And here they go, off for the 1,500 meters.
These are two of our top Canadian mid to long distance skaters, so it should be very interesting to see how they do today. They've had some great results this weekend so far.
Isabel here on the inner is training with Zuli Wang, and we have Josie Spence, who is training with Mark Wild.
And Isabel with the 27.69 opener, and Josie
26.92.
both looking really good. It's coming up to 2 more laps to go.
Isabel here now has the chase down the backstretch, going after Josie. You see here there's a big height difference between these two skaters. Isabel is whopping 6 feet tall, and Josie Spence like a 5'8", but both very strong skaters.
Getting some encouragement for their coaches here as they round into the last corner. Their legs must be pretty tired, but they're keeping up their foot speed pretty good. We'll see how it comes out of this corner. It's a really close race.
Josie here powering in through to the finish.
And it'll be Isabel Weideman with a
159.62, and Josie Spence with 159.64. 9.4, sorry.
And that's our first pair of the day, and the rest of the 1500s will start in quartet. So one pair will start, and once they round the first corner, the next pair will get going as well.
So in our first pair here, we have Erin Barlett on the inner and Petra Acker on the outer, both from the United States of America. And coming up right after them is Alan Burtneys and Carrie Morrison from Canada.
So the skaters in the second pair will be right behind. These skaters are off to a good start, and the next two, Carrie and Alan, are getting ready to get in their start position. Carrie came from a great short track career. I used to train with her here at the Olympic Oval, and now she's putting out some good times on the long track ranks. So we'll see what she can do here today. The front pair is off to a good start with a 27.7 and 28.2.
And the second pair, their opener is a 27.27 for Bernice, and for Carrie, there's 26.91. You see these skaters building really hard for the first lap here, and then they're able to settle in and hold on for the next 2.5 laps.
So Erin with a 30.12 and Petra with a 29.79 first lap.
And Brittany is with a 30.32 and Carrie Morrison with 29.53. She's starting off with a really great lap here.
And we've got 1 lap to go for the first group here. They're still looking pretty good.
This is a race with a lot of lactic acid in it, so these skaters are definitely hurting, and they have to fight through for this last lap.
And driving to the line, that was Erin Barlett with a 2:04.06, so that's a little bit off of her PB, and Petra with a 2:01.20, just off her PB as well.
And here comes Carrie driving to the line, and she finishes off with a 2:05, which is a really great race for Carrie.
Great skate for Carrie, who's only done a handful of 1,500 meters this year so far.
And Brittany's finished with a 2:01.34, which is a 100th PB for herself.
2:01. 2:01. A second. Over a second PB for Carrie.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, whoops. All right, we got another interesting race coming up here with a few 1,500 specialists and 500,000 specialists.
We have Tori Spence on the inner and Sophie Hagen from Norway on the outer in the first quartet, and Saskia and Anastasia are paired up against each other in the 5th pair.
So Tori and Sophie are on their way in through the first corner, and at Buxus and Saskia getting ready to go. As Anastasia's a sprint specialist, she should be going pretty hard out here in this first 300 meters to get her speed up, and then there's 3 laps to go to hang on to that speed.
For Victoria to start off the opener is a 27.57, and for Sophie we have a 27.02. Strong start for Anastasia, 25.88. And for Saskia, we have a 27.75.
Sophie and Tori are coming into their first lap here. Tori with a 57.60 and Sophie with a 56.29.
They're coming up to their final lap here for Sophie and for Tori, and they have Tori has a 31.28 lap and Sophie 30.36. Here comes Anastasia rounding out to get their final lap to ring the bell.
She's looking really strong here with 1 lap to go. Her last lap was a 28.7 and dropped off a little bit to a 31.4. Let's see if she can hold on. She's hoping for a PB here, but we'll see what she can do. And this was Sophie crossing the line in a 1:59.06 and Victoria Spence 2:01.55.
Which are both PBs for both of these girls, so that's a great skate for them. And here comes Anastasia driving to the line and Saskia chasing her down.
Trying to keep those legs moving as you reach the finish. And let's see if there's going to be a fist pump here. Oh, we might have missed that, but Anastasia with a 2:09.5. That's an awesome race for someone who is mainly focusing on the 500 and 1,000 this year.
Yeah, and I believe that is a PB for Anastasia by 2 seconds, so congratulations.
Great race by all 4 ladies in that last quartet.
Up next, we have Miriam Labidi on the inner and Madison Pierman on the outer, both from Canada. And on pair 7, we have Arisa Tashimoto and Yakuri Matashui.
Maddie has raced both 500s and 1000s and the 3K this weekend, so her legs might be feeling a little bit tired, but she's been getting some PBs, so hopefully she has a great 15 here today. It's great to see a lot of international skaters here in this event this weekend. Here's 2 members of the Japanese team battling it out.
Madison off to a really great start. She opens with 27.00 and Miriam Labidi at 27.34.
Arisa comes in with a 26.74 and Yakuri with a 26.62.
Madison Pierman with her first lap, and she's a 29.08, and Miriam is 30.23.
All 4 skaters are still looking good in this race. Early on, let's see if they can keep their feet moving and deal with that lactic acid that must be building up.
Arisa 30.32, and Yakuri with 29.71. Madison going into her last lap with a 30.94 and Miriam with 31.85. Those girls are still looking quite strong.
Not much of a drop off for Madison in that lap, so let's see if she can hold on that 3rd and final lap and see what her final time will be.
And here comes the second pair with their final lap to go. Arisa with a 32.79 and Yakuri 31.64. And here we see Madison driving to the line and carrying her speed nicely. She finishes off with 2 minutes and .60 and Miriam a 2:03.23.
Huge PB for Madison Pierman. She must be happy with that race. And
just off her PB for Miriam.
Second pair is just driving to the line right now. The final time for Yakuri in a 2:01.71 and Arisa with a 2:04.47.
Both of these girls just got PBs, so the ice is looking like it's quite quick this morning.
This first pair of this next quartet, we have Jurika Tandeman and Abigail McCluskey. And in the second pair is Yui Fujimori from Japan and and Martine Ripsard from Norway. And the first pair is off and skating into the first corner.
And we had the first quartet opening up with a 26.40 and 27.13, and the second pair here going 27.22 and 26.18 for Ripshard. And we have Abigail here, who just came back from China from her World Junior Championship, so it's great to have her here skating at finale. She's probably a little bit tired from a long season, but you see her here fighting hard. They're coming into their final lap now, and Jerica has a 31.44 and Abigail 31.94.
They're fighting now to keep those lap times from getting too much farther away from their second time. The lactic acid is pouring in, and they just got to keep their feet moving and drive to the line.
Here we have Yui with a 30.26 and with a 32.10, sorry, and Martine with 31.88.
Abigail and Jerica driving to the line here, and their final time 2:03.11 for Tandeman and 2:02.78 for Abigail,
which are both PBs for these girls. And here comes our second quartet, just coming to the line. And for Yui, 2:03.86 and 2:02.61. These girls are flying right now and getting big PBs.
It looks like we have some fast ice here today, but also lots of athletes are peaking for this last and final competition of the season, so it's great to see lots of great races here this morning.
Here we have in this quartet Carolina Hiller and Sarah Spence, and Kent Lindsay and Ricky Jepsen from Norway.
Tamara and I actually just raced Carolina in a sprint competition in the Edmonton Silver Skate triathlon, and it was a lot of good times outdoor skating, so different than this ice, but she's quite the up-and-comer speed skater from BC.
And Sarah Spence is coming into her opener at 27.71 and Hiller at 28.08. We've already seen both the Spences race earlier on in this race, so we have all three sisters here in the 1,500 meters, and Sarah Spence is the youngest out of all of these girls.
Coming up to their 300-meter time. For Lindsay Kent, 28.01, and Ricky Jepsen, 27.03.
And Ricky is a pure sprinter, so doing this race for her, she is going to feel a little bit of hurt in her legs, but the priming throughout the season will hopefully drive her through this entire race.
We have a 30.71 for Sarah Spence and a 32.07 for Hiller. That's at their 700-meter time.
Sarah Spence is off to a good race. That's a great lap to start off on. Lindsay Kent has a 31.13 and Ricky has a 30.30.
Coming into one lap to go for Spence and Hiller. And for the lap times for Spence, we have a 33.10 and Hiller 33.29. Fatigue is setting in here a little bit. The end of the 1,500 is always where we always at least felt the worst in our skating because we're pure sprinters, but let's see if these girls can hold on.
And Ricky is coming in with a 32.62. That's a great second lap. Let's see if she can hold on to that. And Lindsay Kent at a 33.06. You see Sarah Spence pushing with her arms on her legs, trying to give her that little extra oomph for the very finish of that race. Sarah Spence finished with a 2:05.63 and Carolina 2:08.50. That is a PB for both of these girls. Oh no, just for Sarah Spence, sorry.
And now we have Ricky driving to the line, Kent following behind. Ricky with a 2:04.54 and Lindsay Kent with a 2:06.63.
In pair 7, we have Danielle Wallish from Alberta and Zul from
Mongolia.
Sorry. And in the second pair there, Yakuri Ari and Adeline Monder from Alberta.
So first pair is off and into that first corner, building their speed so they can get to their top speed nice and quick and then hold on for those last few laps.
The skater from Mongolia has been training in Calgary for the last couple months here with her coach, and she is training solo. And you've seen a big improvement from when she first arrived in Calgary to today. And Danielle starts off with a 28.49 and Zol with 26.81. She is a little bit more of a sprinter than Danielle, so you'll see that she opened up a little bit quicker. And Yaikuri opens up 26.78 and Adeline Monder 29.00.
These girls will be trying to get into a nice rhythm, settling in with that top speed, but making sure they can hold on for the whole 1,500 meters. Some girls will be using both arms. Most will have one arm up. You see Adeline swinging 2 arms, trying to keep that speed up, and Zol with 1 arm on her back. Those girls came in with a time for Monder 31.71 and Yakuri 30.22.
Here comes Danielle in the final lap. She's working hard, trying to push to the side and stay low. It's quite hard in this race as you have a lot of lactic acid in the legs. Sometimes these skaters are seeing double by the end of it, and you hear a lot of skaters talking about the taste of blood in their mouth, and that is the level of exhaustion that these girls are pushing themselves to in this race. Hopefully we will see some PBs here from these girls. Here we see Zol coming to the finish line and Danielle.
Both swinging 2 arms to get that last drive into the line. And Danielle with a finish of 2:07.84. Zol with a 2:06.37.
It's a PB for Zol, and Danielle was just off of her PB.
Yukari coming to the line. Monder shortly just behind Yukari with a 2:04.75, and that is a huge PB for her. And Adeline with a 2:07.47, also a PB. Congratulations, girls.
Here we have a Canadian paired up against a girl from Japan. So we have Allison and Yuka in this first pair. That's the second pair that I just announced. Sorry about that. This first pair here we have Gabrielle Sanson and Delgurma from BC.
Mongolia.
Oh, Mongolia as well.
A lot of races here. Sometimes it's easy to get these girls confused, but now we have our Canadian skater who just recently came from the Junior World, so she's looking to try to get a PB here on fast ice, and both pairs are underway now. We'll get you some lap times when they come through.
The opening times for Allison is 28.30 and for Yuka 27.90.
And the first lap coming in here for Gabrielle Sanson was a 31.74, and for Dalberia 31.43. These girls trying to keep the leg angle nice and low, getting nice pushes to the side as they're fighting that burning feeling in their legs. First pair is coming up to 1 lap to go.
Gabrielle coming through with a 33.53 and Dalgurma 32.72.
And the second pair in this quartet with 1 lap to go, Allison with a lap time of 32.26 and Yuka with a 34.19.
Here they come, coming through to the last 100 meters, fighting hard. And we have Delgrama coming through at 2:06.05 and Gabrielle with 2:06.88, which are both PBs for these girls. A great way to finish off the season.
Second pair is coming to the line. And we have Allison with a 2:06.68, also a big PB for her, and Yuka with a 2:09.71, just off her PB.
Next up in this next pairing, pair 9, we have Arisa Go on the inner and Yuna Morizumo from Japan on the outer.
First pair is underway, and our second pair of this quartet, we have Anna Nakimura from Japan and Gabrielle Jelinek from Quebec.
This is Gregor's daughter competing here in the second race, and you can see him on the backstretch there coaching her.
He also coached many top male sprinters this year, so he's got a great record of results, so I'm sure he's cheering hard for her daughter now. His daughter, sorry.
Arisa Go to 25.51, and Yuno has a 27.43 opener.
25, that's pretty quick. She's getting that top speed, and we'll see if she can hang on to that.
Anna with 26.94 and Gabrielle 28.00, and Arisa Go and Yuno have already come in through their first lap at 28.66 and 31.78. You can tell there's a little bit of a difference between these two skaters here. One seems a little bit more of a sprinter, and the other might be more of a long-distance skater trying to reel in her pair.
And Anna's first lap time is coming in at a 30.7, and Gabrielle 31.51.
These international skaters coming here to Calgary looking for PBs and finishing off their season strong before they go into next year, and then they have these goals to shoot for their next season.
Arisa with her second lap time of 30.76. She's on a great race right here, 1.72 seconds ahead of the leader as of now. Yuno with a 33.87. Oh, and
a great finish for Arisa Go, coming in the top rank here at a 157.72. And Yuno at 2:08.04. Arisa Go had an incredible PB here.
We may have the wrong PB written down. If so, that was an amazing race. Really fast for her. Let's see the last pairs finishing up here. Anna with a 2:07.36 and Gabrielle 2:10.87, which is just off of her PB. So in this first pair on the inner lane, we have Carolyn Gingras with from Quebec and Taylor White from Ontario on the outer lane.
And here we have in the second quartet right behind Neil Martha and Lawrence Paquette.
First pair is off into the corner. Second pair getting ready to go.
Here we had the first pair opening up in a 28.30 and Taylor White with 27.88.
Second pair is coming through that first 300 opener for Neil Martha 27.31 and Lawrence with a 28.60. And that first lap, Taylor with a 31.16 and Carolyn with a 32.39. Neil Martha with a 30.94 first lap and Lawrence with a 32.15.
You hear that bell going, and I'm pretty sure that the skaters are thankful that they hear the bell for that last lap as they're hurting in this 1,500 meters, trying to push through the pain.
Coaches are encouraging them there on the back stretch to keep fighting through that and to finish as hard as they can.
This race has a lot of grit physically and mentally. You just need to fight through the pain and kind of tell your body to just keep going even though it just wants to give up and fall to the ground.
And first pair just drove through the line. That was Taylor White with a 2:08.83 and Carolyn with a 2:11.36.
And Taylor here finishes with a PB.
Second pair is coming to the line now, fighting through that pain, keeping those feet moving.
And Lawrence with a 2:10.69 and Khalid with a 2:12.44. And for Lawrence, that is a PB for herself. In this next pair, 11, we have Shoko Tanka from Japan, and from Quebec we have Annabelle Debray, and up behind them we have Ida from Norway and Julie from Quebec. Driving to that first corner for these girls, they're trying to get as much speed as possible for this race. It's still considered a sprint for these ladies. So they want to build up as much speed as they can here in the first 300 meters and then settle in for the next 3 laps.
Making sure they go nice and deep in that outer corner so they don't have to slow down, keep that foot speed, and the corners going all the way through that first 300 meters.
Here we have the opening time for Shako, 29.00, and for Annabelle, we have a 28.31.
Second pair is through the 300 meters. We have a 28.68 for Ida and a 28.79 for Julie. Close race so far.
Here they are switching lanes on the back stretch, and now the girls have another opportunity to chase their pair.
Settling into that rhythm, trying to keep those pushes nice and steady as you start feeling that burn.
That first lap they're coming through at a 28.48 for Shako, and for Annabelle we have a 32.46.
Ida's first lap with a 32.18, Julie 33.55. These girls are fighting hard to keep these laps as consistent as possible. You don't want to try to drop off each lap time too much, but obviously with the grid of this race, there's going to be a little bit of a drop off. We'll see how these girls do.
See a little bit of fatigue in the legs there for these girls, and their tempo is slowing down a little bit. Here we are, a little fight to the finish, pushing on that leg for a little extra momentum. And Shako comes through at a 2:09.35, and Annabelle with a 2:11.11. which are PBs for both of these ladies. And here comes the girls around the last corner and into the last straightaway. Both arms down and swinging.
So Ida's coming in first with a 2:12.22, which is just off of her personal best time, and Bouchard with a 2:16.66.
And here we are in pair 12, Hannah Clark on the inner and Anna Marie Vanderval from the Netherlands on the outer.
Hannah Clark has been a part of the short track program here at the Olympic Oval, also trying out the long track races here. Short track 1500 meter is quite a bit different as the pace starts off slow. It's more of a strategy. This 1500 meter on the long track is an all-out sprint.
And going here in this second pair is Carissa Miller from United States and Jill Ewan from Alberta. You can see Tucker there on the backstretch coaching the American skater. Tucker is a 500 and 1,000 meter veteran to the speed skating world in the United States. He's been to many world championships and the Olympics, and here he is now coaching on the backstretch.
Hannah coming in with a 28.18 first 300 meters, and Anna Marie with a 28.99.
And Carissa Miller has a 29.87, and Jill Ewan with a 28.77. Oh, we had a little bit of a crossover problem on that backstretch. You didn't really get a chance to see it, but the person on the outer does have the right of way as they are traveling a longer distance, so they need to, the person on the inner will then have to slow down and allow that person on the outer to go past them.
So it's unfortunate when that happens, but it does mean that the person on the outside is going faster because they're traveling a bit longer of a distance as they've done 2 corners on the outside and opposed to the inside. First pair is coming in with only 1 lap to go, still looking pretty fast. They got to keep those legs moving and try to keep it up all the way to the finish.
Here are these girls coming through, hearing the bell, motivating them to finish this race and to finish off the season.
First pair is now driving to the line. We have Hannah Clark with a final time of 2:09.25.
Which is a PB
which
for her.
is a big PB for her, and Anna Marie with a 2:10.96, also a big PB.
And we have the American coming down to the finish line. And the girl from Alberta just coming through just behind her. So here is Carissa with a 2:16.95, and Jill Ewan is finishing off with
a 2:21.55. In this first pair of this 13th quartet, we have Mariam from Ontario and Jeslyn from Ontario on the outer. Second pair, we have Jenny from Finland, and on the outer, Samara Thew from BC. There's a little bit of pressure being in the second pair because if there's a false start, they will start on the second lap once the first pair comes around, but fortunately today we haven't seen any false starts at all.
And for Portland's, we have an opener of 29.09, and for Chandler, 28.95.
Girls are using their draft when they're coming out of the corner behind the skater in front. They're going to want to tuck in right behind and use that draft as much as they can because it does make a huge difference. That second pair is coming in, Jenny at a 28.04 and Samara with a 30.22.
Chandler with a good first lap at a 32.76, and Portland's with 33.17.
Jenny's first lap there was a 32.33 and Samara with a 33.78. We hear that bell and their faces, they're getting down and working hard, you can tell, but some of those facial expressions, I know I didn't look too pretty when I was skating, but they're using all they can to get all that energy into the ice and to get across that finish line.
You hear some spectators on the sidelines encouraging these skaters to keep moving and to stay low. The louder you are yelling, the more encouraging it is for the skater. You just kind of grin and bear it for this race.
And this first pair is driving to the finish. And we have Marianne coming in first with a 2:15.95.
Which is a little PB for her.
And Jeslyn Chandler with a 2:17.90. Second pair is coming through the line. And we have
2:14.88 and a 2:17.06. So for Jenny, that is a PB for her. So here in pair 14, we have Pauline Sutherland from BC and Jasmine Chase from Ontario. And Katja Luntz from Switzerland and Alexis Scott from Manitoba.
first pair is off into that first corner. Second pair is in that ready position, and the gun is off. Both pairs in action for this quartet number 14.
An opener for Sutherland, 29.16, and for Chase, 29.91. You see some skaters here with a little bit of a different approach, one arm on the back versus two arms. Some skaters find it easier to keep their balance with two arms down, but the others with one arm up will be able to save a little bit more energy.
Katja coming in the 300 meters with a 28.59, and Alexis Scott with a 28.04.
A skater from Manitoba here is looking quite low, and she has some good technique here, pushing to the side.
If skaters can keep their technique together, that's half the battle of this race, keeping those pushes nice and efficient all the way to the end.
Lintz with a 32.89 and Scott with a 32.09. And for the first pair here, we have the bell for the last lap.
Pauline with a 35.96 and Jasmine with a 34.98.
You hear the coaches yelling on the backstretch, encouraging their skaters to keep going and stay low. And just to keep building those corners. You're doing everything you can to hold on to the speed that you created in that first 300 meters.
first pair is driving to the line here. They're always looking up to that scoreboard in the corner to see their time. Pauline with a 2:16.90 and Jasmine with a 2:14.47, which is a PB for her.
Yeah, for both of these girls.
And the second pair is past the finish line now. We have Katya in a
2:13.17 and Alexa Scott 2:11.33, that's a big PB for Alexa Scott here and for Katya.
Getting a high five from your coach on that back stretch when you come around is always a good thing. It means you've had a good race, PB or not. It's always a good thing to see.
Here in this first pair, we have Carly Hopkins from Manitoba and Connie Kapyak from Alberta. And we have a scratch here from the pair on the inner, so Connie is going to be racing on her own here.
Which means she won't get that draft from her pair when she comes out from the outside lane. A little bit unfortunate, but each race you still have to have your own race plan and approach it as if you did have that pair and push yourself just as much.
And here in the second pair, we have Jenna Mirth and Sylvie Carruthers. And Sylvie is the younger sister of Dan Carruthers from Ontario, and he will be racing the 1,500-meter men coming up here.
So Connie coming in through that 300-meter a little earlier with a 29.44. The second pair has come through. Jenna with a 28.74 and Sylvie Carruthers with a 30.72. Connie's looking like she's gotten to a nice rhythm here. The trick is to get that speed up and get into a rhythm, but make sure you're still going as fast as you can throughout the whole race. Connie's first lap with a 35.10. The second pair is now coming in with 2 laps to go. Jenna with a 34.0 and Sylvie's 35.21.
And Connie is coming through with a 37.96.
Lots of fans and teammates on the sides of this finish line straightaway over the boards cheering these girls on. Anything can help when you're tired and trying to fight that pain in those legs.
And we see Connie coming around. You hear everyone cheering for her. She's looking quite strong, actually, finishing off this race. Through the finish.
That was just a little bit of a dive, so great last lap for Connie. Her finishing time is a 2:20.59.
Which is just a second off of her PB.
Jenna's driving through the line here. Her final time will be 2:19.64. Sylvie following behind with a final time of 2:27.26.
This is a pretty tough race that you need to build into throughout the summers, and sometimes it takes a long time of getting a base for this race. So you'll see these girls in the future coming out with stronger lap times and stronger finishes as they get older, and they'll be breaking these PBs in no time. Next we have Florence from Quebec and Syria Johnson from Ontario, and right behind them we have Anna and Emma Steffens from Alberta.
Battle of Alberta in this second pair, which Tamara and I are very familiar with, but the more teammates you can be competitive with growing up and share that love of the sport is what made us continue skating. And First pair is on their way and driving through that first corner, building up that speed into the first 300 meters. Second pair is off to a good start. Those first few steps are nice and quick to get up that speed, and then you want to settle in and keep that low position throughout that first 100 meters and continue that throughout that first corner and first straightaway.
Saint-Jean opening up with a 27.77, which is a pretty quick start for these girls, and her pair Johnson with a 30.59.
Second pair is coming through that first 300 meters. Anna with a 29.16 and Emma with a 31.07.
And we got Saint-Jean with a 32.97 lap and Syria with a 34.63. Florence is looking quite good today. She is quite low and she's skating hard right now.
Anna through to the 700 meters. Her lap time 34.16. Emma 36.49. One more lap for this last pair, and the first pair is coming into that last corner, trying to keep that foot speed up and that bum as low as they can to get as much out of their pushes as possible.
Florence coming in for her final lap here. Finishing off with a great time of 2:13.28. That is a big PB for her. That's 6 seconds here in Calgary this morning. And for Syria, 2:20.01 for her finish, which is also a PB. Chasing down Florence probably helped her out in getting that PB today.
Anna just came through the finish line with a 2:18, also a PB, and Emma has just finished as well with a 2:24, just off of her PB. Three more quartets to go in this quartet 17. First pair we have on the inner Shruti Kotwal from India and Sylvie Lloyd from BC. Behind them, pair 33, we have Sophie Pett from Alberta on the inner, and on the outer, Emma Jarva from Manitoba. Shruti has been training here with Abby Ennis and has improved her skating quite a bit, as she cannot skate in her home country, so she likes to come out to Calgary and get all that experience, and hope to see her times go down and down year by year. All these skaters will be looking to get that personal record, as this is the last opportunity in this distance and last competition of the year. So they're going to give it all they have, remember what they've learned, and see if they can put it to the test this morning. Shruti coming in with a 29.37 for her 300 meters, and Sylvie with a 29.46. Next pair comes through with a 29.91 for Sophie, and Emma with a 29.81. Shruti's using both of her arms there to keep that tempo up, and Sylvie's one arm on her back, trying to stay relaxed to keep going. First lap for Shruti is a 34.04, and Sylvie with a 35.04.
You just see Shruti coming in every day, working so hard with her coach, Abby, and she's just taking in all the information she can, and her teammates are pushing each other every day in practice, and you can just see the love and passion she has for this sport. And here comes Shruti with the final lap to go. with a 38.03. Let's hope she can hold on to the lap. And her pair, Sylvie Lloyd, with a 38.13.
Second pair is coming to that 1 lap mark. It's always a good sign to hear that bell. You're almost done, but you got to keep working hard. That last 400 meters is the really, really tough part.
Sylvie chasing down Shruti to the finish. It's going to be a tight race, and it's just going to be whoever can hold on the best coming through to this last 100 meters.
These two skaters are neck and neck. Let's see who can pull off that last few strides. And it looks like it will be Shruti in a 2:23.28. And Sylvie with a 2:23.34.
So that is a PB for Sylvie.
And now that was Emma driving through the line and Sophie, her pair. Emma with a 2:19.87, which is a huge PB, and Sophie with a 2:25.
We are coming up to the last two quartets here for the 1,500 meter ladies. And we have Hannah Madougal and Anja from Norway. And right behind them we have Mary Ann Kidreen.
Small correction. In this quartet, we have Amanda Mitchell on the inner in the first pair and Roseanne Grenier on the outer. Second pair in this quartet is Hannah McDougall and Anja from Norway.
Opening times for Mitchell is 31:22, and for Grenier is a 30.82. She's getting a nice draft on the backstretch there, using her pair as a little energy saver. And here we have the Norwegian skater coming in at a 29.26, and McDougall with a 31.67.
And this first pair has come through their first lap. Amanda Mitchell with a 35.64 and Roseanne Grenier with a 34.60. A lot of these skaters are training outdoors, as Calgary is one of the Calgary and Fort St. John are the only covered ovals inside, so some prefer to wear something over their mouth, as that's what they're used to skating outside. A lot of them will just have the glasses and the hood over their head.
We have the final lap for our first pair here, and they're coming through at a 36.13 and a 35.64. Correction, 37.51 is Amanda's time coming through.
Hannah's first lap was a 37.84 and Anja a 35.12. Let's see if they can keep that nice and close for their second laps. And Anja did with a 38.21 and Hannah second lap 39.77.
Here we have the Quebec skater coming through to the finish, 2:18.79, which is a huge PB for Amanda.
Okay.
Yeah, for Roseanne, she has a huge PB for her. And for Amanda Mitchell with a 2:22.78, which is also a PB.
And the second pair is coming through the line. Anja a little bit ahead with a 2:20.06. And here comes Hannah through the line, and her final time will be a 2:30:45.
So that 2:20.6 is a 13-second PB for Anya. So that must be her first time coming here to Calgary and skating on some fast ice, as that is a remarkable PB for her. And this is our last quartet for the day. Coming up in the first pair, we have Mary from Manitoba and Serdrine from Quebec, and Meredith from Nova Scotia, and Ashley Hanna from Manitoba.
So in this last quartet, we have our first pair around the corner and the last gunshot of the ladies' 1,500 meter. So these girls had to be warmed up for about an hour after the start time, so you always got to make sure you plan your warm-ups accordingly. You don't want to get on the ice ahead of time, as you can if you see on the inside of the ice, warm up a little bit before your race on the ice. Of course, you want to do it off the ice as well, and then get nice and ready right before your pair.
So opening up, Mary opens up with a 30.23, and Serdrine with a 30.98, and Meredith is coming through with a 30.25, and Ashley with a 31.18. These girls are all quite evenly matched at the moment.
Mary with a first lap of 36.64 and Serdrine with a 36.01. The second pair has come through that first 700 meters. Meredith with a lap time of 34.78 and Ashley with a lap time of 34.66.
This could be the last race of the day for these girls, as all we have left for the women after this is the mass start race, and we have one for the juniors and for the seniors, so maybe we will see some of these girls competing in the mass start as well. Here we have two arms down and fighting, and this is their last lap going in.
And this first pair is coming to the last 100 meters, keeping that arm swing going, keeping those feet moving, and driving through the line for her 1,500 meter time. Serdrine of 2:21.66 and Mary with a 2:23.85.
Those are both significant PBs for these girls.
Second pair through. Meredith with a 2:19.09 and Ashley with a 2:19.33. Again, huge PBs for this girls. They must all be very happy with those results.
And here are the final results. Arissa Go, Sophie Hagen, Isabel Waterman, Josie Spence, and Carrie Morrison for the top 5.
Some awesome results today, especially because this is the 4th day of racing, and many of these girls have raced quite a few races before this 1,500 meter.